This video is about the life and the legacy of the Bishop, Carlton Pearson.
He began to preach inclusion, that everyone goes to heaven, and that there is no hell.
I just couldn't reconcile in my mind eternal torture, weeping, wailing, gnashing of teeth. It didn't make sense. And my experience of God was not that way.
He was suddenly a mortal threat to the business of the Bible.
And so when something happens that threatens the community, or the doctrine, or the dogma, or the tradition, or the cult belief, everybody gets defensive.
I've been wanting to do this video for the past couple weeks, and the truth is I've just been too emotional, because while I have a very healthy relationship with that thing that I only refer to as transitioning, because I do not believe in death, to watch his last several videos just took me back to 20 years ago where I was when he was being crucified, persecuted, and lost everything because of Christians. You see, at that time, I too, after becoming a certified Christian minister, left the church. Although I continued to listen to the bishop, because the bishop was all about inclusion, and he's always been a teacher. This is the part that really gets me. The man is a teacher. He digs into the word. He gives you different understandings, better understanding, more balanced understanding than you get from anywhere. And then when he brings an understanding and digs into that same book, going into the same roots to tell you that there is no hell, and that maybe the inspired word of God was actually man-inspired about God, then you want to crucify. And here we are 20 years later, when this man is dealing with what many are calling terminal illness. And I think unless and until he decides he's going to surrender it, we will just say he's going through some things. I will not say terminally ill. I mean, we all going to pass on. We all going to transition. And if he decides it's his time, then I support that. But until then, I still speak of him in the present and will honor what he has been and the legacy of the bishop.
So I wrote in reference to today's lecture, mercy is not just allowing escape from hell. Authentic mercy would be completely extricating the concept of eternal damnation from our belief system and articles of faith. The English word hell does not appear anywhere in the original biblical narrative, and Jesus never used that term. He used the term, a word, Gehenna, Hebrew word. Jesus spoke mostly Aramaic, and he used a lot of Hebrew words, and there are an amalgam of the same language. He used the word Gehenna, and Ge meaning in Hebrew gorge or gully or valley of Hinnom. That particular place existed at least 500 years before Jesus ever walked the earth, because Jeremiah refers to it. It was the town dump, the city dump on the southeast side of Jerusalem. It was a literal place where the fire never went out. That's why Jesus said, the fire goeth not out, the worm dieth not, the maggot. There were maggots and fires for centuries. But today, if you go to Jerusalem, the fire is out and the worm is dead. And there are park benches and palm trees.
I lovingly call Gina and Carlton the bookmarks to my Pentecostal life. You see, when I was a young woman, early 20s, I was about to marry a man whose mother was deep in the Pentecostal church. I knew nothing about Pentecostal before I met this man. I grew up in New Orleans, as did Gina. Gina grew up Catholic. Honey, let me tell you, it is a big leap to go from Catholic in New Orleans to Pentecostal. And Gina was a member of the same church as my then soon-to-be mother-in-law. And they had a close enough relationship that I knew when Gina met Carlton Pearson. They started dating and then planning for a wedding. And she was on her way moving to Tulsa when I got married. And even though I did not know her, she was at my first wedding. So because of my life with my then mother-in-law, who was very influential to me in that time because, heck, I didn't know what the heck I was doing. And he was talking some stuff I'd never really heard before growing up Baptist in New Orleans. I knew nothing about Pentecostal, and so they were the on-ramp to my Pentecostal life. While the bishop, 10 years later, when I was getting off, I was exiting the Pentecostal life, the bishop was going through his own transformation.
His fall was to be quick and complete.
Some people just turn away from you. That's painful, but it's more bitter when they turn against you.
That is what they call the fall of the bishop. I call it the push. He pushed through for years, regardless of what they were doing to him, in order to stay steadfast in loving people. All the people they wanted to cast aside. It's amazing to me. These people need to call themselves Jesusians, not Christians. Because while I'm not a Christian, honey, I am of Christ consciousness. And that is what expansion is about. The bishop expanded.
Other pastors began to attack. He was barred from Oral Roberts University and removed from its board. And its namesake, his mentor, the creator of the prosperity gospel, warned him that preaching inclusion would destroy everything they built. He was declared a heretic and would lose his home and his friends.
The man's got more balls than all of these wannabe, wish they were Carlton Pearson preachers, particularly these black ones, out here talking about this man. You see, before I was too hurt to do this video, now I'm pissed. The hell wrong with y'all? Y'all sick. And those of you who follow them are sick too. Times have changed. The bishop did what he needed to do, and I'm so grateful. He led the way. He is a trailblazer. He had more balls than all of y'all got together collectively, had the courage to stay the course and to be the beacon of light and the example to those of us who needed to push, because we all came here with purpose.
If you study history, heretics ultimately become heroes. They create movements. That was not my intention, but I'm seeing now that the collection of people who are coming around.
So what is heroic about this?
This is globally impacting. I impacted the church, mostly the fundamentalist Pentecostal church. That world is really small compared to the wider reach. Jesus said, I have sheep of another fold. Who are they? Where are they? I've always wondered.
When are you coming back?
I'm not. You will come to me before I come to you.
Some of us are still surrendering to old, antiquated crap. I am a former Christian minister. You see, 65 million American adults have left the church. Half of them still consider themselves Christian. The other half do not. I am of the latter. I do not consider myself Christian. Some of us are stepping into our brilliance and our purpose and our liveliness and life and love and joy and peace, and raising the vibration in our own lives so that we can effectuate change in our world.
So you're telling me that we exempt Satan out of the message, and we have no more church.
Right. If you cannot sell a ticket to heaven or buy one out of hell, it's hard to raise money.
And we've got a leader that we can thank for that. Thank you, Bishop Carlton Pearson. You are forever loved. You are forever appreciated. You are forever a beacon of light for those of us who needed you when nobody else was there. That was one of the most difficult times of my life. I know what it is to be ostracized. I know what it is to be. I know what it is to be characterized as a heretic, hell, backslidden, because that's all they know to call us. I did a video on all of those. So for those of you who are on the fence, in any kind of way, whether you are still in the church or you're getting out of it.
And though a public mea culpa could get it all back and more,
I've had millionaires come up to me and say, if you change your message and go back to what you were, I'll buy you the property, I'll buy the building, we miss you, we need you, we want you as you were.
He says that Carlton Pearson is dead. The reborn one, the newly energized one, is the Pastor Pearson who makes monthly Sunday visits to All Souls Unitarian Church in Tulsa, and the one who can now reach hundreds of thousands around the world from his living room with Facebook and YouTube messages. Messages, he hopes, that offer a new perception of God for the 21st century.
There is life beyond the church. If you still believe in Christian doctrine, and that is still where your heart is, but the people have hurt you, then find your tribe. Stick with the bishop and what he's already started. That is a tribe of people who have the same mindset of like minds. Stick with it. For those of you who are outside of the Christian faith, as I am, I do not live my life in that way at all. I really am all about new thought. I am all about mentalism. I believe that I am God, that you are God, that God and devil are one and the same. And until you are able to neutralize that in yourself, then your life will always be chaotic. I believe that we are God. I'm not here to convince or convert you. I'm here to celebrate, honor a man who stepped out and followed what he believed God called him to be. And in that inclusion, so many people are so much better off. I personally have no desire to be part of or try and fit into any of that. For me, it meant living beyond my raising, learning beyond my raising, and rising above my raising. So whether you are still considering yourself Christian and living a life of inclusion and celebrating all people without judgment, I salute you. Or you no longer consider yourself Christian and living outside of that. I'm not here to judge either way. This is about honoring a man for his life of dedication to his God.
Pearson tells Two Works for You anchor Scott Thompson he's never felt healthier, happier, or holier, with a powerful second chance at finding a new kind of spirituality.
Bishop, it's a lot of us out here. They kicked you out of the Pentecostal fold, and you found a whole other sheep. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you. To the Pearson family, Gina, Julian, Majesty, my heart goes out to you, sending you so much love during this time and forevermore. We know that y'all often felt like the stepkids because he was so committed to the church.
I baptized those people and counseled them and prayed with them and gotten some of them out of jail and been to the bedsides when they were dying. And I just didn't think that covenant would ever be broken.
I also know that that can be painful. I came from a line of pastors. They don't know how not to show up for people. It's in them.
I want to ask you something.
It's his story of loss and redemption that's told in the movie Come Sunday. Taking part in its production has been both cathartic and painful.
And did you love him?
Here we go again. A movie will come out. There'll be critics. My name will be used. The people who are angry at me will become angrier. The ones who love me will love me more.
When I realized how quickly the church dismissed me and could do so just sort of almost overnight, I thought, boy, I wasn't that valuable to them because they didn't fight to keep me. Even a call from one of my peers that said, Doc, are you okay? You don't have to change. I just want to know, are you about to blow your brains out? How things happen with you and your wife? Are you paying your bills? Do you need $500? You need any help? None of that kind of stuff. And I've done that to so many people who got in trouble. So that shows you the value you don't have. And it has to make you reevaluate yourself. And a lot of these guys are more into money than ministry. It's about the money.
It's your life. Choose it just as it is. Own it, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Change it. As long as you can breathe and learn, it can get better. From somewhere out here in these South American streets. Ciao for now.
I think there's so much more to God than we have tried to imagine.